It's Tuesday. We're here with Coach Bruce Barnum. Off a landmark victory, the Portland State Vikings beat Washington State 24-17. It's been a great 72 hours on the park blocks, and we're going to find out a little bit about what's been going on. Coach Barnum, the aftermath, just talk about how many texts and calls and emails did you get here in the last 72 hours?
A bunch. Mike, I think the texts are up to about 576 right now. So I'm writing every one of them back. I've answered every text. Emails, I don't have a chance. I can't answer them. But a lot of attention for the program, which is great. And again, I'm hearing from people. I'm still hearing from people today. I walked on the field today, played with the head coach at Florida, and Mac texted me and said, "Sorry it's late. Nice job." So they're coming from across the nation. Portland State was on the news. What a great thing. When's the last time that happened? That much attention for this great university.
Okay, can you put it into, you kind of led up to it, can you put it into just a very concise statement what the win does mean for the program, for the kids, for the university?
Gets them ready for the next step. It showed them it gave them the feeling. You were there, Mike. You rode on the bus, and you actually rode back with us. It gave them, I call it the playoff feeling. And I'm not saying we're going to playoffs. That's our goal. But it gave them that feeling of what it's like. And that will translate into more work out here. They'll watch a little more film. The day is going to go quicker. The week's going to go quicker. That's what happens when you win, especially big wins like that.
Have you ever had a better feeling after a victory, you personally, than you did last Saturday?
After a victory? No. I mean, I've tasted it. It's a playoff feeling. I know it's the first game on our schedule, but that's what it feels like when you start earning more games. That's what it feels like when you keep winning. You get that feeling they want it again. So it's just another motivation, not from us, not from the staff, but from the team, from the program, from the captains, to maybe do the little extra, maybe pay a little more attention in a meeting. So that's what we want to happen here at Portland State. Again, I want to put a product on the field that somebody sees like they did on TV, and then they want to come see it live, not Memorex. Come live that feeling, and hopefully that'll show up in our first home game and throughout the season.
Okay, now probably the hardest part, all the attention, all the excitement. How do you keep the team grounded? You're back out on the field today, first full practice on Tuesday. How do you keep the team grounded and focused for this Saturday?
This week might be a little easier than most, Mike, because I was at this opponent's place. I lived there. My kids were born there. I was there for 10 years under 2 head coaches, and we had success. We won a Big Sky Championship at Idaho State. So I'll be able to ground them on this one. I feel that strongly. And I'm taking as many of the interviews as I can because there's a barrage. You and I have been involved with that. And there are so many interviews. You said it was going to get easier. You said there'd be less interviews. You lied to me once again, Mike. But I'll take that away, and I'll tell them what they're going to run into because they're stepping into the twilight zone, Mike. Great venue for them, not us. That's a different place to play.
Okay, now talk about Idaho State. Obviously coming off an excellent season, 8-4, but they did lose their star quarterback, and they're making a transition to a new leader on the field. What can we expect to see from them? How are the Vikings going to deal with the Bengals?
Well, they had one game. They put a lot of numbers up. They held somebody to a goose egg. They recruit. Coach Kramer's recruiting. They'll be fine. They'll reload. They'll have somebody at quarterback that we saw him this past week. He looks great. They didn't miss a beat. So it's going to be a challenge. And we're doing everything in our power to go there and have a chance.
Okay, now we go from a Pac-12 opponent to a Big Sky opponent. Really, this is the more important game than last week, even though we're getting a lot of attention from last week's victory. We need to win Big Sky games. Is there any different approach to preparing your team?
No, not at all. They know what's going on. They know what's at stake. But we look at the schedule and we have another opponent. Yes, this one means more in conference, obviously, or it means something in conference. But the approach each week isn't going to be any different. And that's a cliche. Everybody says, we're going to line up and do this and that, and we'll do the same thing. And we will. I need to put a tough group on that football field who can there's going to be adversity that they won't see all year at any other place. The noise, the crowd, how that team plays. So we'll prepare them for that. We'll have them ready. And then we just got to throw the balls out and see what happens.
Okay, last question, maybe the most important question. Last week it was the great outdoors.
Yeah.
What's the movie this week on the bus?
We flipped through a bunch as far. We don't meet on this. Just my mind driving to work. We went from sci-fi. We went to horror, and you got to think, what do you give them driving over there? You're thinking Twilight Zone, the movie, not the series with Rod Serling, because of where you're going to play. But I think we're going to stay with little Chevy Chase. We might go some vacation. You know what I mean? And I would sing the song, but I'm not going to embarrass myself. So a little vacation, show them Wally World, take them to Wally World, because that's a comparable trip they took across the Great Plains when we load those buses.
All right, vacation. The Vikings will be on a vacation trip to Pocatello, Idaho, as much a vacation as they can make it as they open Big Sky Conference play, Portland State versus Idaho State, this Saturday, 3 p.m. Pacific time. You can listen to it on Rip City Radio, 620 a.m. You can go to the live stream and live stat links at govikes.com to follow the game.